It is Tuesday, July 21st. My name is Amanda. I'm finally joining you, and this is our Junior Ranger program virtual style for today. I'm so glad that you have joined me, and so again, sorry for the delay. This is my first time doing a virtual Junior Ranger program. I am coming to you from beautiful Lake Oroville up in Northern California. We have a lovely lake that is famous for bass fishing and boating and all kinds of outdoor recreation. So that's what we have up here in Northern California. I understand a lot of you are watching me today from down south, so it's good to see you, all of you. Today we are going to be talking about insects, and specifically we're going to be talking about butterflies. But before I get started, I wanted to remind you that this week is Latino Conservation Week. So that's kind of exciting. And when we're finished today here learning about butterflies, if you want to head on over to Latino Outdoors and check out all the fun activities that they have ready for you this week, that would be awesome. And there's also Hispanic Access Foundation that you can check out as well as we celebrate this whole week for Latino Conservation Week, part of what we're doing here for July. So we're talking about insects, and specifically we're talking about butterflies. And I have a couple of pictures that I'm going to hold up for you. And this is a beautiful picture of a painted lady butterfly. And for those of you who were able to visit Lake Oroville, you know that we usually have some painted lady butterflies that we put in our big pavilion, and we raise them from the larva stage. And this is what it kind of looks like over here. And I can hear your phone.
I thought it was off.
Sorry about that, folks. A few more technical issues, but no worries. I wanted to let you know that we're going to be learning a little bit about, hopefully you're not seeing my notes. Oh, before we begin, we do have a couple of activities a little bit later. I need you to have with you a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper. So while I finish up giving you the introduction here, I want you to, ask your mom or someone for a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen so you can write down a list of things that you observe a little bit later. So we're going to be looking at some insects and learning a little bit about what makes an insect an insect. We're going to compare a butterfly to a moth, and we're going to find out ways to attract butterflies to your garden. But first, we're going to start with an icebreaker, and it's a game that's called Would You Rather? And so for this game, I need you to find the raised hand feature on the Zoom, and I'm going to ask you a question. And if you would rather do one option or the other, you'll raise your hand for the first option or the second one. So for example, the first question that I have for you is, would you rather be a chef or a firefighter? So raise your hand if you'd rather be a chef. And I can't see any hands because of the way the camera's turned, and I'm hoping that there might be a way to tell. Okay, put your hands down. And if you'd rather be a firefighter, now raise your hand. Okay, and then hands down. Next question. Would you rather be a frog or a snake? So raise your hands now if you'd rather be a frog. Okay, hands down. And then hands up if you'd rather be a snake. Okay, next question, hands down. Would you rather be able to fly, or would you rather be invisible? So raise your hands if you'd like to fly, and then hands down, and then the raise your hands feature for if you'd rather be invisible. That's an interesting question. Okay, hands down. Next question. Would you rather live on a farm, or would you rather live on an island? So put your hands up, the raised hand feature, if you want to live on a farm, Hands down. Or if you'd rather live on an island, hands up. Okay, hands down. Next question. Would you rather live in a tree house or would you rather live on a spaceship? So raise your hand if you'd like to live in a tree house. Okay, and then hands down. Or if you'd rather live on a spaceship, raise your hand. Okay, hands down. So last one. Would you rather have a tail or would you rather have wings? So raise your hand if you'd rather have a tail, and then hands down, or if you'd rather have wings. Okay, hands down. So everyone should be thinking about what they'd rather do. And in the non-virtual world where we would have real junior rangers gathering, we would have done this and it would have been so funny. People would be looking at each other like, oh, you'd rather have a tail or you'd rather be invisible and I want to be a chef, and kind of a getting to know you activity. So it's kind of different doing it in this virtual realm. So thank you for playing with me. And just to remind you that later on we're going to play a memory game, and I need you to get a pencil or a pen, and I will also need you to please get a piece of paper. So I want you to have those things gathered up. So first let's talk about insects. What characteristics makes up an insect? And I have some butterflies to show you. That's a pretty butterfly. We know this. We know that all insects have certain things. All insects have 3 body parts. They have the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. All insects have 6 legs, and those legs are attached to the thorax, or the middle part. And if an insect has wings, it will be attached also to the thorax. So those are things that all insects have. And maybe we can see better on this. This is a picture of a giant swallowtail. So we have the head here. We have the thorax here, which is where the legs, 6 of them, would be attached, and of course where those beautiful wings are attached. And this is the abdomen. And what you might be able to see that on an abdomen of butterflies, they have these little dots. They're little holes, and they're called spiracles, and that's how they breathe, through their abdomen. So once again, just to, in conclusion, for what characteristics there are for insects, we know that they have 3 body parts. They always have 6 legs, and that's always attached to their thorax. And they also have what's called an exoskeleton. Now you have a skeleton, but you're not an insect. Your skeleton is on the inside of your body, right? You've got a bunch of bones that are all attached, and then you've got your flesh and your organs and your skin on the outside. But an insect will have their skeleton on the outside, that hard protective case that protects everything that's on the inside. So that's very different from us. So they would have an exoskeleton. Oh, and now I'm going to show you some interesting things about some insects. I've got some insect-related items here to show you. And this is a wasp nest. Found this little tiny wasp nest when I was outside. You can find these at home a lot. Look at how beautifully geometric all of the cells are for these wasp nests. I'm going to take that down. Next, I have a dead insect. Oh, this is, of course, a, can't tell if you can see that well, if I should put my hand up. Maybe I'll do this.
See pretty good.
See pretty good. I'm going to hold.
There we go.
Got it right behind it. So this is a beautiful dragonfly. Sorry. You can see the head there with those really big eyes. The thorax there, which is the middle part where those beautiful glassy gossamer wings are attached. And all of those little legs are attached also to the thorax. and then the abdomen, which is where I'm holding him. So that is a beautiful example of a dragonfly. And if you look at him head on, it almost looks like he's smiling. If you can get that. Oh, okay, I'm gonna put this down. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you also is that a butterfly goes through their life cycle in 4 stages or 4 steps for a complete metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is a big word. What does that mean? I'm hoping that you're guessing at home that the word metamorphosis means the great change. And so the 4 stages that a butterfly goes through for its life cycle, it starts with an egg, little tiny egg, and then it bursts out into a larva form or a caterpillar. Those of you that have gardens at home, that have tomato plants, you've seen those great big green hornworms with a little red horn on the outside, on the back of it. That's the larva stage of that insect. And what they do, they eat, and they eat, and they eat. And so that's their job, is to eat and grow and be healthy. And several times they will pop out of their caterpillar skin as they outgrow it. They'll wiggle out and become what's known as the 3rd stage, which is the larva stage. And what I have here, I'm going to hold this up so that Lisa can film it. Maybe again, I'll put this in the background. You don't need to see my face. So this is a chrysalis of a butterfly. This is stage 3. And just trying to, boy.
It's kind of going in and out.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know if that helps.
That helps.
Okay. So if you look carefully, you can see, I'm going to, sorry about moving. I am going to point with a pencil that this insect, its head is right up here. It's still inside, of course, the chrysalis. Its wings are actually folded on the back right around here. The abdomen is right along here. You can see those little bumpy things. And if you look really closely on the side there, you can see their wings. We're getting a really close-up view. I hope you can all see that. I really love the shape of a chrysalis. And you can see a little bit of the fuzz here. Oftentimes they attach themselves to the side of a building or another structure with the fuzzy part there. So I'm going to put that down. And I'm going to share with you one of my favorite insects. Yeah, I love insects. I'm a girl and I love insects. And so I have here, let me get my fingers just right. This is a baby praying mantis. And I found this guy in the garden. And I'm going to turn my fingers. He is dead. He's really brittle. He lost a couple of legs. I've had him for a couple years. And there, I hope you can see, he's looking right at the camera. So once again, his head is right up here. And you see the 2 great big eyes on the side. He's got that fabulous triangular shaped head on a neck that swivels pretty good. And then he's got, this poor guy, the sample only has one of the legs that's like the praying arm here. This is what he lashes out and grabs, usually a flying insect or something that comes close to him and eats it up. So you can see also he's got, so there's his head, his thorax here, and then his abdomen is right down here. And he does have wings. It's not often that a praying mantis flies, but they do have wings and they can fly. And I just love them. This one is kind of a beautiful green color. Oftentimes they are green, or I've also seen them tan colored. And again, I just adore these guys. They get really big. They get about 5 inches long. So that's always nice to see those guys in the garden. I would love to ask you if you have any questions, but I can't see if you do have any questions. So right now I'm going to demonstrate. I'm just going to, if you just look up at me instead of what I'm doing here for a second. How does a butterfly drink? An adult butterfly that's already gone through their metamorphosis. When they land on a plant, they will often stick out their proboscis and that's how they that's how they get a drink. So this is a painted lady butterfly here. This is her head, and her proboscis is sticking out here so it can gather up the nectar on this plant here. Does that help if I do that?
You know, it's kind of washing out. I don't know which way is better.
Okay. Sorry about
There
that.
we go.
So
When you pulled it down, it actually showed the whole thing. There you go. Perfect.
So once again, the butterfly will be taking up its nutrition, its nectar, when it lands on a flower by unrolling its proboscis and then enjoying the nectar. Did you know that a butterfly tastes with its feet? It's true. So isn't that interesting? And wouldn't that be funny if you tried to taste your lunch with your feet? I'm not going to recommend that you do that. So I have here a glass of orange juice, and I have here also an example of what's kind of like a proboscis. This is the tube that would come out of the butterfly's mouth parts and go down into the flower and drink. So it's going to look something like this. Did you see that? So I'm a butterfly and trying to drink. That's orange juice, and I just brushed my teeth, so woo! That is quite a taste. I almost wish I had my feet to taste that with. Wow. Okay, so we have talked a little bit about what makes up a butterfly or an insect, and I wanted to show you this also. I forgot to show this earlier. So this is a spider. This is actually a baby tarantula that we have as part of our interpretive handheld items, and it's in an acrylic case, pretty large. And if you look at that, I'm going to ask you a question. Is this an insect? Is this tarantula an insect? The answer would be no, because it has 8 legs, not 6. So there's your answer. So spiders are in a classification all their own. Hey, have you ever seen a moth versus a butterfly? What are some of the similarities? We know that they both have beautiful wings. Of course, butterflies have much prettier wings, usually much more colorful wings. And we know that the moths are usually furrier. Their bodies are usually furrier, where the butterflies don't have as much fur on them. They're more scale-like. And also usually the tips of the antenna is bigger on a moth. Also, the most obvious thing that you would notice is that a moth comes out at night and butterflies come out during the day. So that's good to know. Looking at the time here. Okay. Okay, so I have one last thing that I'm going to do before we wrap up, and I'm just going to get ready. So now is the time where I need you all to get your paper, your pencils, and get that ready, because we're going to play a memory game. Now, why would we play a memory game during Junior Rangers? One of the things that we know is that being observant when you're out in nature means that you can notice a lot more. So to be observant, to take notice, you want to kind of have no distractions. So you take that iPod off so that you can really focus on what you're looking at, so you can see more clearly. Oftentimes when I take kids out pre-COVID on the nature trail, I'll tell them to put their deer ears on so that they can hear the birds and the bees, and to put their nature eyes on and really stop and look and take notice. So I'm going to put this down. What I'd like you to do is take a look at the items that I have on the tray here. And I hope that you can see a lot of the items. We have here a toilet paper roll and some cookies. Here is a dog treat. We have a frog, a spoon, a battery, a seashell, here's a paintbrush, a toy car, a little egg, pair of scissors, this is a peanut, and then we also have a glove. So I want you to take a look at this for about 30 seconds, and I want you to try to commit as many things as possible to memory, and then we are going to try to have you write down as many things as you can remember in 1 minute. Looks like it's a little pixelated, so we're trying to get this through as well as we can. Okay, and at this time then, we are going to let you, there we go. So with your paper and your pencil or pen, I'd like you to write down as many things as you can. I'm going to step away for just a second. Hopefully you can enjoy the background that we have while I get the clock. And the clock is running, so write down as many things as you can remember that you just saw on that tray. Some of them were natural items. Some of them were tools. They were made out of different materials, and they were different colors. And while we wait, we've got about 20 more seconds for you to write down everything that you can think of. I want to take this time to once again thank you for joining the Junior Ranger program today. And I want to remind you some of the safe practices that you have heard again and again, and that is to please wash your hands often. I want to remind you to do your physical distancing, so do stay 6 feet apart. And if it's mandated in your area, make sure that you wear your mask. Those are the things that we have been told to do to keep us safe during this time, okay? And we've got about 3 more seconds, and that's it. So stop writing, and if you would raise your hand, those of you that wrote down 5 items that you could remember. 5 items. Woohoo! How about 6 items? 7 items. I'd like you to raise your hand if you are remembering 5, 6, or 7 items that you wrote down. Good job. How about 10 items? Excellent. How about 11? Again, please raise your hand. 12, 13, 14 items. How about 15 items that you remembered from memory? Well, if you got 15 items, you did really, really well. So this is, once again, one of those games that I've played before with regular in-person Junior Rangers at our on-site programs, but during this virtual COVID situation, we did things a little bit differently today. And the last thing I wanted to remind you or tell you about is how you can attract butterflies to your garden or to your neighborhood. It's important to give them something to eat, so plants are very important. Pretty flowers, flowers that are flat like daisies are some of their favorites. Also, if you put in your garden some stones that have little upside down bottles that you can put some water in, a little bit of water sources that are really shallow, maybe a small tray with a bunch of marbles, and then put the water in there so they have some place to land on and get something to drink. Bees love that as well. And then of course, you know, try to limit the amount of pesticide use that you have in your garden. That will really help to bring insects into your garden so that they can also pollinate your garden. So thank you for joining me. I'm Amanda up here at Lake Oroville. It is a pleasure that you were able to join me today for our virtual Junior Ranger program. I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and we all have a little bit more appreciation for the insects that we have in our lives. Thanks so much. I'll see you again. Bye for now.